Hello guys, it's Retro Nerd Girl, and I'm broadcasting from the International Science Fiction Space Station, and we're doing another Gargoyles Week 10, guys. This is great. I'm loving this series so very much, and I can't just speak about how much it is. I'm just so grateful to know this story and to also partake in this with Mama Bear Art Doll. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the video that we recorded where we go over all of these, and I will be in the chat to talk with you guys, and hopefully Mama Bear will stop by today as well. But it should be a lot of fun. Let's see. I'm just gonna do roll call of who's here. We got Amy Jo Johnston is here. Hello, and Moonbeam is here. Let's see if I can get one. Moonbeam. Here's a here's a message from Moonbeam, and Gary Carpenter's here as well. So good to see you, Gary. It says just finished dinner. Oh wow, yum yum yum. I haven't had dinner yet. I just rushed over here right after work, so I am still in the sort of getting myself together a little bit out of sorts, but really jazzed about this. Oh, there's Mama Bear Art Doll. Oh, Mama Bear Doll. It's hard to drop the art once I've gotten into the habit of saying it. So great to see you today. Yes, this is a good one. I really enjoyed this one. And James Bacon is here. Hello. So good to see you, James. Oh, you're awesome. I really appreciate you. And Bonzo Kilborn is here as well. Wow, wow, wow. How are you? This is great. Okay, this is great. This is great. You guys are making me happy. Okay, so without further ado, guys, I'm going to play the video. Again, I'll be in the chat, but there may be a few moments where I have to move away from the chat to just handle some life stuff. On the most part, let me just get that keyed up and ready. Okay, we're at week 10, and I'm here with Mama Bear doing this really awesome breakdown of Gargoyles Season 2. We're now on episode 24, Shadows of the Past. Let me bring this beauty up. Shadows of the Past. They talked a little bit about a previously on, which is basically going over the events of what had just happened, but also they added Hakan and the captain from 995. That's just to give us a taste of what's to come. They kind of build it up slowly with this. It starts off with Elisa, Goliath, and Bronx and Angela on the boat. They've just left Avalon, and they're now thinking that they're on their way to Manhattan, but Avalon, it's not going to take you where you want to be. It's going to take you to where you're needed. So I guess they're not going to go home right away. And you also hinted at that.
It is going, fair warning, it is going to be a fair trip of them exploring around. I remember going through it mentally because they did a lot of episodes like this. And I remember thinking about it like, are they ever going to get back? So this is not going to be a short run of them exploring around.
No. It is, yeah, it's so far, it seems, just judging these 4 episodes, it is a journey. And then also by the end of, I would say, the 4th one, you get the sense that, oh, we're settling into this. And it's like, oh, okay. And we're going to talk about that. But they actually get washed up on shore to Castle Wavern.
Mhm.
And at first I was like, okay, what time are they? Are they on the present day? And it is the present day where Castle Wavern used to be. Right now it's like an empty cavern. There's some tunnels and stuff around the area. So they make their way to the Archmage's cave, where there are some weird hieroglyphics and interesting things. But then Goliath starts to see strange things. And one thing that he sees is that he sees,
Not just seeing them, he's hearing them too.
yes, he's hearing Demona, he's hearing Hakan and the captain. He thinks he sees them in Angela and Elisa, and he attacks them. I was like, what is going on here? Did you have any idea at this point in the story what was going on at all, or what could have been happening?
This one took me a bit to remember. And yeah, like when he's like looking at the hieroglyphs and he sees a flash of himself, like you can tell he's really struggling, like throughout this episode, you can tell he's really struggling with, I think, almost the guilt of wanting the revenge for what happened to his clan.
Yeah.
Because he does voice that in this towards the beginning of this episode, that when they all fell, he was faced with the choice between his revenge and saving a life. And that life he saved obviously was Princess Catherine, and it's the only reason why we get Angela here now, because nobody would have been there to tend to the eggs, wouldn't make sure that they hatched safe.
And that was impressing the idea that everything we do kind of has an outcome, even the most simplest choices, or the things that we think, oh, we have to do this particular thing or act on revenge, because he didn't, and he did preserve that life. He made the right choice in many ways, but at the same time, it's like,
it's still not an easy choice.
Yeah. Goliath, he's actually seems to be going through also like some actual physical problems in this particular place. It's affecting him in particular. We see him like run away from everybody once he realizes, hey, I'm attacking the people I care about. Stay away from me. I could hurt you. I can't be trusted right now. And he runs away, but he doesn't even really know where he's going. He's going deeper and deeper into this cavern, and it seems as if he's being attacked almost, but we don't know how it's being done. He falls down in this cavern that he's there's like a ledge, and it goes even deeper down this cavern. Everybody else, they're like, what's going on? They follow him, but he's already down there. And it turns out that the spirits of Hakan and the captain have been somehow tied together and cursed in this place, and they are now seeing to seek some kind of revenge by what they plan on doing is to take Goliath's life force and regain their own life force as well. So yeah, they have this, it's a great plan. I don't know how they were able to learn how to use magic, but they figured it out from this sort of strange tomb that the Archmage left.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's the Archmage, because either way, it's weird because it's kind of covered in cuneiform, which is the wrong area. That's me overthinking things.
Okay, what is that? If you could explain that to
cuneiform was the first written language, and that's from Sumeria, in the ancient Sumerian texts.
Oh.
So not the right area, but I'm guessing they did that because it's close enough to it just to create the feeling of an ancient language type thing, because they do emphasize that this is an ancient temple. And I just figure the reason they figured this out, when you got 1,000 years, you got a lot of time to kill.
Yes.
And it's not like they got Netflix or anything, so.
Yes. Yeah, I'm glad you were here to explain that, because I did not catch that. I did hear them mention that the Archmage, who is like endless in his his ability to muck things up. It just kind of shows up, and there's some effect from his life along the way. And these two are quite effective. They manage to weaken him, and that's the whole point. They want to disorient him and weaken his resolve, so that way they can finally take advantage of his body. And so they do this one last spell where they've gathered up all the rocks and created gargoyles that represent the gargoyles that were killed in 995 by Hakan. And so these, what we'll call it, the slaughter of 995.
They have referred to it a couple times throughout the series as the massacre at Castle
The
Liberty.
master, yeah, okay, massacre, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. They make a big mistake. They decide to summon Demona, not realizing that she did not die during that massacre. And Goliath, this is the thing that Goliath is like, wait a minute, whoa.
You're not dead.
You're
It takes him a minute.
Yeah, he's shocked to see her when he sees her, but then he's like realizes, because he's tired, he's exhausted. They've been
messing with his head.
Beating him up real bad, and finally he's like, wait a minute, if she's not real, then none of this is real. And I was like, ooh, go Goliath. And so he, when you mess with a Goliath and you get him mad, he definitely goes into Hulk mode, and that's kind of nice. But unfortunately it's too late, and Hakan and the captain are beginning to actually have more physical presence. They are actually taking his life force while he's
that's when Hakan activates the temple.
Yeah.
Which is somehow ghost touch activated. Again, overthinking. I know,
Ghostbusters.
Rule one of cartoons: don't overthink.
Yeah, the Ghostbusters movie needs to take a look at this, and just in case, just to not make any mistakes. And Goliath says one thing, and I'm not sure if that is the thing that changes the mind of the captain, but he says, what good is life without honor? And it seems like something happened to the captain at that point, and he was like, wait a minute, what am I doing? And he turns on Hakan, and that's what basically turns the tide in the story. What was your theory on that? Do you agree? Was it those words that said that to
that by that point he was already like trying to talk the captain out of whatever, because I don't know if it's just you hanging out with Hakan for 1,000 years. Everyone's been there. You hang out with the wrong person and it rubs off a bit.
Yeah.
or whatever. But he's like, this isn't you. I didn't kill you. I didn't kill the two of you. You two fell off the cliff. And he's trying to talk some reason into him for a bit. Yeah, but definitely the line of what good is a life without honor.
Yeah.
That's what got through.
Yeah, I think so too. Somehow he's able to turn the tide in Goliath's favor, and the two are buried in this, magical temple. And Goliath kind of gives them a mini eulogy, if you will. He says, I lost an enemy, and I also lost a friend.
Well, that's because by that point, Angela and Elisa and Bronx had made it down to the cavern and found the temple, because it's not hard to miss. Right? The thing was lit up like the Macy's, like the tree in New York.
Yeah. Yeah, it was glowing.
Glowing down the hall.
Yeah. At that point, the captain says that this has released him from his prison in the cave by feeling absolved of his part to play, the guilt that he had for taking sides with Hakan. And unfortunately, we have one last scene where we see that Hakan is not gone. He is only trapped in a mirror and says, don't leave me here without anyone to hate.
I really got the impression, and I don't know if you did too, that hate seemed to have been the anchor to that particular place. because in both cases, Hakon just hated everybody. I mean, I'm pretty sure he hated the dude in the mirror. But
Yeah.
and Captain actually does say this. What part of what anchored him was the hate and guilt he had towards himself for betraying the clan.
Yeah, so you can apply that to so many different,
I think it
like,
applied to
life.
Goliath too. I think that's why that space affected him so strongly. Not just
Mhm.
because they were messing with him,
Oh,
but
yeah.
because he, at the same time, was also struggling with his hate and guilt when it came to that whole massacre and losing and losing the opportunity to get revenge, which
Yes,
is
yes.
against his code for the record. But
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in all other situations, he seems very level-headed,
mhm,
except for when it comes to things like revenge. He sort of gets that moment where, a few moments we know that's a challenge for him, where he's dealing with his feelings of trying to get revenge. Like, there was one instance in the past with Xanatos where he was fueled by getting revenge. And this is a clear case too of, these guys are dead. And
mhm.
so he still wants revenge, deep down inside him. And they use it to their advantage to play with his emotions and play with his head. I think at this point, if you could even take this into the real world, these are subject matters that a lot of people deal with. The pain of guilt, the self-hatred of things that they have done in their past,
Like, did I make the right choice?
regret, yes,
Yeah.
all those things. And so I love that this story is actually hitting on those real
Mhm.
world notes without actually being outright and preaching at anybody. It's just bringing it up and discussing it gently and using these characters to do that. I love that. I love it so much. And this brings us to our next episode.
Which is a fun one for me.
Yes. Yes, let's see. Okay, we're gonna have some fun with this one then. Season 2, episode 25, Heritage. And on the previously on, it just goes over the events that have just happened. Doesn't really go into any new
It
territory there.
Yeah, it doesn't really connect much with any of the previous stories
Yeah.
outside of Oberon's children itself,
Yeah.
that's gonna pop up a lot.
Which I was really excited. I want to see all the Oberon's children in one room, actually. And so it starts out with, of course, they're floating on that boat, trying to get home to Manhattan, but again, they're taken to yet another place. What I love about each of these is that we don't know what place they are until like later on, like into the episode. So I love the surprise of that.
This one I caught right away, though. As
Okay.
soon as they landed on the one beach,
Mhm.
I caught it.
Oh, cool.
I will
And
explain as we get to that point.
yeah, 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 yeah. 'Cause yeah, I had no clue. The 4 of them are on the boat trying to get home again, and they arrive to an area where a dragon pops out of the ocean and sort of it starts attacking the boat. Goliath and Angela attack the monster and chase it away. And then but they realize that Elisa is missing. She got washed up on shore, and a woman by the name of Grandmother and a man by the name of Natsalani find her, and they are native, and they have a
Like
little discussion. The grandmother wants Natsalani to fight a demon in a volcano, and
Raven, she wants him to fight Raven. This is why it's fun for me, because when we see
Mhm,
Elisa wash up on that beach, she's
mhm.
surrounded by totem poles. Initially, when the water dragon appears, I can't lie. I even then I was thinking like they in Loch Ness,
Oh,
you know.
sweet,
But
yeah,
as soon as we see the totem poles, I'm
yeah.
like, oh, we're in BC. Okay.
Okay, so this is a popular location.
It heavily around BC, but there are other locations as well. Totem poles are part of the native culture, especially out there. And one of my favorite Canadian artists, Emily Carr, she went out when she was well into her years. Traveled out there to do paintings of the totem poles.
That is really cool. And when you say BC, you're referring to British Columbia, Canada. And so they later on they mention it's Queen Florence Island off the west coast of Canada, which I haven't really ever heard of that place. So I'm like, cool. This is really, I mean, they're going all over the place, and this is introducing a lot of people to new ideas and new concepts.
The whole totem thing is absolutely fascinating because they're individualized as well. So I'm not going to dive too deep into this because not my culture.
I love learning.
I've just researched into it just out of sheer fascination.
Oh yeah, me too. I love different cultures. I love learning about different cultures. You know, by no means would I ever imagine to be an expert at anybody else's culture, but definitely love learning about it. And you know, sometimes you don't hear about other cultures until you hear about it secondhand, you know, from somebody who's visited or knows a little bit about it. So I think sharing, you know, that kind of information is so very important, that we know we're not the only people on planet Earth.
I think this is how we kind of grow as a society, is by researching, learning about other cultures, and you know, finding the beauty in each of them.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with that. And the story itself starts developing in strange ways. I've had nightmares that remind me of this movie, this particular episode, and it's like, what the heck? It's so weird in a way, but I would really love to know what an actual native person thinks of this episode. It would be fascinating for me to see what they think of it. Goliath and Angela and Bronx are looking for Elisa. It just looks really hopeless. I don't even know if they think that she's alive at this point, but they're still trying to find her. But they find a totem pole with gargoyles.
What they think is gargoyles. It's carvings.
Yeah, carvings. And so it's really pretty. Right at the top of the totem pole is a what they think looks like a gargoyle with a bird's head on it. And he flies down and talks to them, and they're like, are you a gargoyle? He's like, yeah, I'm a gargoyle. Sure I am. And so we're still trying to figure out who this is. Is he for real? Immediately he mentions grandmother is the evil sorceress. Yeah, that wants to destroy his clan. He takes them back to a volcano where he's kind of wedged in there, and shows them his people. And it's quite interesting because I was looking at them and I was like, well, they look like foxes, like wolves and bears, and I was like, what? They're animal.
Wolf, a bear, eagle. They are very prominent animals in native culture. The one out that style out there.
Yes, and so I was really fascinated by that. Can gargoyles be of these types? These are very interesting creatures that reflective from the totem pole that we saw earlier. Elisa is actually very, very sick, and grandmother is taking care of her. So the whole time that's happening, we have in the back of our minds that what Raven has said, that she is a sorcerer.
I think that's a bit before he says it, because at this point, I'm trying to remember which happened first, whether she starts treating Elisa first, or because it goes back and forth.
It does go back and forth. Yeah, it goes back and forth because, I'm going to lead to something in a minute, but There is a moment after he says that, you know, grandmother's an evil sorceress, and even after we had heard grandmother said Raven is a character that you need to fight the demon, you know, at
To
the
heal the land, and
and
yeah.
yeah. So I'm like, who is telling the truth? Like at this
And
point, who did you believe the most at this point?
it's this episode is a mind trip
Yeah,
because they both seem sincere.
yeah.
And that's the thing. It was really hard to tell initially who to believe, or if this whole thing was just a misunderstanding from ages ago,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it's one of those moments where I was like, "Oh my, should we be worried about Elisa?" Because by the time we find out for sure, um, you know, Elisa has a chance to talk to grandmother. She's awake. I guess I think they're called the Handa people or Hada people. Did you see that part? I mean, did you hear that part?
I
What they
probably
had
did. It
called
didn't.
themselves?
I can do a quick search.
Yeah, I think they called either Handa or Hada people, if I'm not mistaken. I was trying to write down so fast when the episode was happening. I was like, because even though this is a short episode, it is packed with so much stuff. Like I wrote notes. Both sides are completely full of information. Moving on a little bit while you look for that, then it looked like.
Haida. Haida.
Oh, okay, yes. Okay, that was what they said. Okay.
Looking at some of the other tribe types out there, I can understand why they picked that one.
Oh. Oh,
Full
okay.
respect, but I'm glad I didn't have to try saying some of the other ones.
Okay, and so Elisa, while she was talking to grandmother told her to go to sleep, and she did sort of like a little magical thing and put her to sleep. And at
Mhm.
that point, I was like, "Oh no." I was scared. I was scared, to be very honest. I was like, is grandmother, oh, like, is she, do we need to look out for grandmother? Because she definitely has more powers than just an average person.
Mhm.
So it was one of those moments where I was actually very, very, very concerned. So
And
we go
you
back.
don't catch it the first time. She does it too,
Yeah.
because while she mixes up this salve with like some roots and whatnot, and you see her rubbing it on Elisa's chest, and she goes, "Wake," and I'm watching this, and I'm like, "That's gonna work." And sure enough, as soon as she says "wake," she's like, "Hi." Where am I? Why am I topless? Actually, she doesn't ask that second one, but you know, she should.
I was like, wow, that's incredible power.
Mhm.
It's incredible power. And so I was very much, you know, I had laser eyes on grandma. I was like, grandma, I'm looking at you. And so
You kinda do the same for both of them. I mean, for a bit there, Raven sounds very earnest that
yes.
this native tribe, they killed off all of his people, his clan, whatever, like, just hiding in fear and
They look so meek.
yeah.
And I'm just about to get to this part because you know the gargoyles say, okay, well, we're going to do something about it, and Goliath sends Bronx to find Elisa, and they leave. And
Mhm.
as soon as they leave, Raven uses some sort of magic to make these creatures disappear. So they were all illusions. Okay, so those are illusions. Okay, so he's not who he says he is.
Yeah.
And those characters are not real. And so you made me care about those characters. They weren't real. How dare you, Raven? So yes, and then he follows the Manhattan clan just to, I guess, keep an eye on them. I guess Grandma and Natsulani leaves, and Elisa manages to kind of sneak out, and she goes to find the gargoyles. And while she's doing that, she's actually being followed by Raven. He tricked a bear to follow her, and it begins to attack her, but just in time, sweet Bronx comes in to save her. You know, everybody is reunited with Elisa, and this is actually a hug from a different episode, but the
Do me a
hug,
favor,
okay,
send me that.
of this picture?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I have Valentine's coming up. I gotta draw something.
Oh, that would be so sweet. Okay,
Mm.
yes. Okay, I'll find it again, or I'll see if
Yeah,
I
sorry
can
if you need to edit this bit
figure.
out, that's okay.
Oh no, are you kidding me? I will
Okay.
definitely. So but yeah, he is the hug that they give each other is just insanely sweet. I was like, what's going on here? There's definitely some romantic stuff happening
Yeah.
between them,
Oh.
and intense love happening. Okay, I'm here for it actually. You know, usually I'd be concerned about these things, but yeah, in this case, you can see there's a true love brewing between these guys, and it's lovely. They find grandmother, and she morphs into this bird creature with a face in its stomach. That face has like a tongue that kind of slithers out sometimes.
Mhm.
It is really nightmarish. This is the stuff of your nightmares.
This is stuff of Retro's nightmares.
Yes. Yes, my nightmares are just like this, but like then add 10 more layers of terror and we're there. This is the person that you were thinking, this is grandma. This is grandma turned into this creature. Just based on this transformation alone. Goliath and Angela are just like attacking the crap out of this.
She's an evil sorceress because Goliath and Angela have been listening to
Raven.
Raven.
Yeah.
So they think she's evil.
Yeah.
And they Lisa's like, no, she's a sweet old woman. They see her sitting there on the ground, and it's like, see, does this look like somebody who's evil? And then she starts glowing.
And then she turns into this. And
Yeah.
look, if she did not have that face in her stomach, I think it would have been okay. But that was the last
Yeah,
straw.
the face in the stomach's going, ah.
Yeah, it looks pissed off too. It's not like a happy face.
Needed a happy meal.
Yeah, it's an angry face, and it's just like, what? Their attack on the creature is just really incredible. But it doesn't really seem to bother it that much because, you know, grandma seems to be fine. But suddenly, Raven shows up, and he shows up with his gargoyles. But for some reason, then they don't attack. And so Angela's got that good.
Angela sees the wing from grandmother going through these things, and she's like, wait a second.
Yeah, I mean, she's looking at, you know, she's like, I don't think they are what they seem to be. And I thought that was really good that she picks up on things, you know. I think other people might not have picked up on it, but she did. When they finally find grandmother, they also find Raven as well, and she mentions that they are both Oberon's children. And
He's a trickster.
And I'm just sort of like, I need to know more about these children because they're out of control.
No worries.
Right, it's coming probably, and I can't wait for it. They are actually forbidden from directly intervening in human affairs, and this is what they've been doing the whole time. They've been intervening in human affairs, but they haven't been doing it directly. They've been breaking the rules, you know, here and there.
And if you recall, the sisters said the same thing. Like, this is Oberon's law, because like the sisters did say that they are forbidden, and I think it was in that one episode where we learn all about Demona and Macbeth. They do, or either that or was the previous, the most recent, where they're at Avalon and they're discussing with the Archmage. Either way, one of them says, we can't. It was the Archmage that they were talking to.
Yeah, oh yeah, I think that was
Yeah,
the second
we
other
are
one.
forbidden from directly intervening in human events, and he's like,
Mhm,
"This isn't directly intervening.
mhm.
This is influencing."
Yeah.
And I
So
think it's the same loophole is applying here.
yeah, yeah. It's a yeah, loophole or a breaking of the rules without breaking the rules necessarily. And Elisa introduces Natsalani to the gargoyles to prove that they exist and also to help him to realize that all the stuff that grandma has been saying is actually real. So he can stop saying that, oh, it's all make believe. It's actually real. And so even still with knowing that gargoyles exist, he still doesn't believe, not truly, or he still refuses to actually face Raven at the volcano. So there is a refusal to the call, almost like a hero's journey. Um, and so Goliath says, "Well, whatever, we'll take care of this," thinking that he would be able to just go go up there and make the sacrifice for these people to get the land back to the way it should be. When they go up there, Raven does something really freaky that freaks me out a little bit. He turns the animals from the totem pole into real animals to fight the gargoyles. And I was like, what? You can't do that. And it was so freaky, but it was like, oh, okay. They really went outside of the box to just do a wild and crazy thing here, but the fight doesn't really last long, and there's somewhat of a threat, not the biggest threat, but this is enough to occupy the gargoyles while he is able to kind of look on. But Natsulani shows up and is in full regalia, ready to fight the Raven. And it's a good fight, and he wins. He wins. Yeah, which is really quite awesome. Is that you feel like when he does this, is that not only like he's accepting his traditions, his heritage, as the name of the episode, and he's accepting this knowledge of his ancestry. He's kind of been denying,
Mhm.
I think what we didn't mention was that he's a scientist. So everything about what he believes is purely logical. And this is the mystical, right? This is the mystical stuff that people say it doesn't exist, or it's been passed down generation and generation as stories, right? And so he now is taking part in the legends. He's now absorbing the history of his stories that have been passed down from generation to generation. I thought that was wonderful for them to add that personal victory for Natsalani as a
Mm.
character. I mean, he goes through full character art. This is wonderful. And so we get this mystical moment, which is so strange. And this is not an exact picture of this moment because I couldn't find it anywhere. But grandmother,
It's the same pose she was in both times when she transforms into the Thunderbird, and I
yeah,
think it was a Thunderbird, and
yeah, they did
towards
this.
the end of the episode.
Yes, and she sits down and her hair begins to grow. And what a great, like, who, I don't know who is thinking of this stuff. It's just incredible. Her hair begins to grow and starts to spread out and restore the land.
It turns into water, like
Yeah. I was like, what?
extremely healing spring water, and it's like a scene like right out of what later that they'll use, I guess, inspiration for Moana, because it was a
Oh.
very very mirror image of what happens once Tafiti is restored.
Mhm. I never saw Moana. I will have to.
Disney
Um,
junkie.
I'll have to watch it. This episode is just insanely good, and it's full of stories. I was trying to figure out how this will apply in the future. Is this one of those episodes that could be considered a filler episode?
I think this episode was more filler, but
Mhm.
it's also that reminder of not everyone is exactly how they appear.
Mm,
Because initially, like towards the beginning of the episode, when we first start hearing Raven, he sounds genuine.
Yes. Yes.
Like you really feel for him because he gives a very similar story that, his people were massacred and all of that. Like it's really I don't want to quite say heartbreaking, but I don't know a better word off the top of my head.
No, yeah, it is. I mean, he tells a very sad story when Goliath, I forgot exactly what he said, but he says something very honorary, like, "Oh, gargoyles are to protect."
Mhm.
And he's like, "Oh, I completely understand this." And it just really was like, okay, so Grandma is the bad guy because he's clearly the good guy until you see that the creatures are illusions, and then you're like, okay, what, wait a minute, what's going on here? And just like, I'm not sure if it was a few scenes before or after, you see Grandma wielding this incredible magic to make Elisa wake up and go to sleep. Like, it's just like, I'm like, okay, which one of these people are lying?
I think also at this point, the other thing that is kind of a takeaway from this is Raven's a trickster of Oberon's children, but he's not Puck. So
Yeah.
there are clearly more trickster types
Ooh.
out there.
Yeah. And also, this also is proving that it's not just the culture.
Mhm.
Oberon's children are spread globally.
Yes.
And so you could go to Africa and see some Oberon children. You could go to China and have some Oberon children. So that's really, really cool that this is not necessarily located, for the Norse gods or the Norse
Celtic.
region. Yeah, the Celtic region.
Mhm.
In which where the gargoyles are really mostly deriving their history from. And yeah, this is really fascinating, and it opens up a whole another level to this. I love it. Even though it was weird. What a trip! It is weird. It was what a trip that was, with all of the fantasy elements mixed in with real world things. Like, I don't think I'll ever look at totem poles again the same way. After seeing that one scene, I was like, "What did you do?" Oh man. All right. So the next episode that we're looking at is Monsters, season 2, episode 26.
Mhm.
On the previously on, we've got some of the recent episodes, sort of refresher, and then we get this one little snippet of the questioning of Angela's parentage. And I thought that was very interesting. I was like, "Who are we going to find out who her daddy and her mommy is?"
It's
And
not like it's hard to guess.
yeah, I mean, we all came to the same conclusion, but this is where we get that, we seem
Confirmation.
yeah, we see it seems as if the characters themselves were denying. Goliath's response was, "Oh yeah, we're all, the rookery."
All children are the belong to everyone in the clan.
Yeah.
They don't.
He just sort of
Mhm.
flinged it off to the side, like, yeah, don't get any ideas. We're all the same. Angela sees something in the water as they are now floating to their next location. And it looks kind of weird because it looks like there's a creature underneath there. And so they all say, okay, let's go to shore and let's figure out what's going on. They don't see anything but a town in the distance. And Lisa decides, since she's the human one, she
Mhm.
can go up to that town and find out where they are and what's going on. So when she gets there,
And see if they're home.
yeah, yeah,
She does try that in this
she,
episode.
oh yeah, yeah. She finds out that they're in Scotland and they're exactly where the Loch Ness monster is supposed to be, which is considered a myth. There are some people there that are making money off the situation. They are sending people on cruise, and there's all sorts of paraphernalia that you can get.
Which I believe is an actual thing out there.
Yeah, yeah, why not? It's a tourist attraction, right?
Yeah.
And so Elisa gets to a phone and leaves a message with Matt, but the voice message is full. that was a moment where you're like, oh, I guess this is going to keep going because his message is full and everything she's saying is not really being recorded. And that kind of gives you a tip off that something weird is going to happen. What was your take on that, of his message being full?
How does, like, first of all, you see the answering machine, I'm like,
Yeah,
oh my God,
when
answering
is,
machines.
yes, when was this?
Like, I remember, like, at that point in time, people are even doing those weird, creative tape messages of,
Oh,
this is
yes.
so and so. My dad had a whole tape of them, of various pop culture at the time, answering machine message recordings. So you could pick one. I don't even remember most of them nowadays, but I know it's a complete sidetrack, but it just,
Oh, no.
it's going to be stuff like that that the younger generation won't really know it, because do they still exist? Yes, but much like landlines, most houses don't have it anymore.
Yeah, they are a relic of that time period of the 80s and the 90s, especially.
Payphones too.
And the other thing that, like, don't you? My favorite ones were the ones where you're like, "Hello? Oh, I'm not
I
here."
hated those. I had a friend that had one that did that. Even because he had the music blaring in the background, and he's like, "What? What? What? Hold on." Turns the music down. Yeah, what? You go say, "Well, yeah, it's Mama Bear. It's, oh yeah, I'm not home right now. Just." And guaranteed every bloody time that my message to him would always start off with, like, "You son of a call me back."
Yeah, it's really one of those things where it's like, people got really clever with their
Oh
machines.
yeah.
Well, here's another thing about that particular scene. Um, Matt either Matt doesn't check his machine very often, so I mean, it
Those things
must have
had
been.
limited recording too. I mean, if you had, and this legit happened to me
Mhm,
with answering machine message me and my roommate had, and that was like early 2000s.
mhm.
We left it completely empty, went out for the day, had 2 messages on there, because my sister, if you're watching this, I love you, but you talk a lot. You know that. And my roommate's mother, and again, talker. The 2 of them maxed out the tape together.
Oh
Afterwards,
my
we're playing it, and, like, I'm wandering around just doing stuff, listening to it, because this is gonna be a while.
god. Yeah, like, yeah, there was always somebody who, like, would call you and say,
Whole life story.
yeah, just, "Hey, call me right back," or "Call me as soon as you get this." Or then there would be, like, somebody who was like, "Oh, blah, 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 blah," and you're like, "What?
Yeah.
This is
Well,
just a
yeah,
message answer."
I was talking with dad, and you know how he is. He saw the flyer in the store, and so they got this thing on sale. So he's decided that, if we get this and I get that and I get this, and then we can do a family gathering, and blah 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 blah. I love you if you're watching this. I really do love you, but you used to leave really long messages. I know my sister, she probably will be watching this, so I'm so sorry.
Oh, man, yeah. It's one of those things where, you never know, and then there'd be times when there would be a lot of messages left on there. So, I was wondering with Matt, like, he's got a social life,
I
it's all
like I said, I
full.
remember those things quite frequently had a very limited, because it was just a little cassette tape,
Yeah, it was.
you
It was
know?
the little ones,
So
yeah.
they had a very limited recording span to it.
Yeah, So yeah, and so just as Lisa says that the monster business is all fake, a huge mass bumps into the boat that they're on because they're just decided they're going to leave again, and it looks like for sure there is a Loch Ness monster, but then there's also a robotic monster that looks like the Loch Ness
That's
monster that's
chasing
following it. Yeah, and it actually captures Angela because I think Angela.
Yeah, they get knocked out of the boat again. This is a recurring theme at this point.
Yes.
Um,
Absolutely.
like y'all need seatbelts in there. So it captures her, and Goliath is losing his mind,
Yeah.
over Angela missing.
Which I mean, he should. I mean, one of the few gargoyles that have decided to join the only one who's decided to join his clan that they found, and yeah, he feels really responsible for her, which he should. I mean, just by nature, but still, he's taking it extra hard. It turns out that Dr. Severus is behind all of this, and he discovers that Angela has been captured.
At first he's like, "Oh, a local gargoyle clan. All right."
Yeah.
And a teenage one at that. That means they are thriving. Yeah, get some DNA samples, guys.
Yeah, he gets her DNA sample. He's testing it, and so he decides to put her in a grotto. And the grotto is well, I'm like, the grotto. What do you need a grotto for? And it dawns on me. Oh, so that's where you would put like a sea creature. They kind of leave it in a little bit in a suspense, did they, for a few seconds? But in the town, Elisa's doing some digging around. She recognizes Xanatos's people, and that they're, getting some rations for like food, water, and stuff like that. And so she's like, "Oh, what's going on?" So she follows them and discovers what's going on. I guess a little bit before then,
somewhere in there,
Angela and the Loch Ness monster, they're getting along very well. And Angela is like nursing it back to health. And Severus says that the monster has been dying. It was probably going to die within 24 hours. But because of Angela's care, it looks like it can do very well. It's doing very well again. And so this changes his plan of what he's going to do. He goes in there. It's daytime, so Angela has been turned to stone. The Severus has the Loch Ness monster drugged, who is actually protecting her while she's in the stone form, which I thought that was really cool. He puts her in chains, so when she transforms, she's already chained up, and he has a little talk with her. One thing that he mentions is that Angela is Goliath's biological daughter, which is, shocking.
He assumes she knows. That's the thing.
Yeah. And she's like, "What?" So yeah, that's kind of interesting because now they have the scientific proof that she is. And I was very surprised that he didn't connect Demona to this either, but that was just enough that to pull in.
We know that at that point in time, Goliath and Demona were a couple.
Yeah. 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 And there couldn't have been anybody else to be the mother. So so that's kind of a given. This all this gross though. For some reason I was like picturing Demona giving birth to an egg. It was really just gross. How does this happen?
That's just physics I don't want to think about. So
yeah, just like, oh no, this is gross. No. Severus's plan is
we saw them. They're not small eggs, too. I mean,
no, they're huge.
No, thank you. I'm not picturing
that. Unless it's small at first and then it grows bigger. So then maybe
that's generally not how eggs work. So
And so Severus's plan is to release the female Loch Ness,
Or
release,
release baby Nessie so it can find, as he keeps putting it, Big Daddy.
yeah, Big Daddy. And it's like one of those,
How does he say that and make it sound so creepy?
it's Tim Curry's voice.
No.
Which is great. I mean, he's doing so
It's
fantastic.
creepy and smarmy at the same time, and he does that so well.
Yeah. And his plan ultimately is to create a whole farm of monsters that he can pick and choose from and design. So he has this all planned out. He's going to have a creature library there,
Yeah, custom
of
creature
DNA.
generator.
Yeah, yeah. And it's actually kind of cool. It's like, okay, so they thought about this scientific character, what they were going to do, what's really inspiring him or motivating is something within the field of his expertise and something he
Yeah, how can you make
likes.
money?
Yeah. And Severus releases the Loch Ness monster, the baby one, and it immediately does what he predicted. It reunites with the bigger one, but then he ties Angela to the end of the robotic ship, which is absolutely horrifying and terrible. It's really,
This was a kid show.
yeah. I was like,
Young adult, teenager, whatever.
yeah, I was like, oh my God, she's just like, she's tied and you can see her like dying almost.
She's been along behind.
Yeah, it's horrifying. And he's gone really too far, but Goliath rescues Angela and they both rescue the Loch Ness monsters from Dr. Severus's attack or attempt to try to bring in the larger monster. And then the Loch Ness monsters begin to attack the ship. And it actually looks like this time Dr. Severus dies, but you get the feeling, you just get the feeling that he is probably going to come back somehow.
I love that the one Xanatos whatever employee says Dr. Severus has less than a cat.
Yeah, yeah. There's
I
no
love
way
that.
there's no way that he's dead because he just has a way of showing back up again. So
Yeah,
I
the
did,
bunker underground, that's flooded now, and the ship is done, but
yeah. And I'm sure he has a way of getting to that DNA stuff, and we should probably see some more evidence of that in the future. So that was very interesting. Those are my expectations, is that we'll see more of Dr. Severus, and we'll probably see some of the results of his DNA fooling around with, if you will. And I don't know how he couldn't have gotten enough samples from that smaller Loch Ness monster. So
I think he wanted the comparative sample of the
okay.
other one as well.
Oh, okay.
More variety you have gives you a better reference material.
Yeah, I agree. It seems more like a logical thing for him.
So
And he
rather
was
than
willing to look.
rather than just cloning, then you get a more varied. Because at that point he has like a female, so
Mhm.
that's my reasoning.
No, it makes absolute sense, especially with scientific genius like him. I mean, he is a genius. He's again, I love the way they really flesh out his personal motivation for all of this. It's definitely money, but he, and what he plans to do with the things he's been accumulating all of this time. I'm a big fan of Dr. Severus. He's actually
I'm not supposed to like him. He is intentionally smarmy, and Tim Curry plays that up.
yeah. Oh gosh, yes. Oh gosh, yes. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And just as a reminder, in the previous episode, Hakan was played by Clancy Brown, which I couldn't help but hear his voice the last time. I was like, oh, Clancy Brown. It was great. And so that is for sure monsters. This one definitely felt like it was more filler, but you did get that little bit with Severus. You know that he's coming back. You know that this is going to show itself again somehow, and I can't wait to see what he produces.
Well, yeah,
Um,
definitely mostly filler. Other than that, a chance to get confirmation for
oh yes,
what at this point everyone was pretty much already suspecting.
we got the scientific confirmation,
Mhm.
so for sure, you did see that scene, and I don't have a picture of it, but with Angela and Goliath kind of holding hands at
The
the end.
the pure cheese at the end, though, like, I love it. Of baby Nessie looks really great to be back with Big Daddy. Yeah. He's like, yeah, he really missed her or something. Jeez.
Yeah, it's a little bit much. It's a little much. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of them though down there. They're thriving, the Loch Ness monsters.
Mhm.
So I was like, "Ooh, this
Side
is
note,
really
I love that they used the long believed plesiosaur for it to represent Nessie, because that's the one that a lot of people suspect if Nessie existed, that's what it would be.
mm, yeah, yeah." And yeah, it's I did enjoy the fact that they're going through all of these things. Where in the human history have we had these mythical creatures that may or may not exist? And they can build these stories from them. Like I'm sure, like you could do something with the like Bigfoot and the Tooth Fairy. You know, they could just
Rest assured,
grab.
they don't come across Bigfoot or the Tooth Fairy.
Okay, I'm saying that that is, you know, that's sort of they can play with any of the
Mhm.
characters that kind of show up, and so that's the fun of this. And this episode coming up is one of them, Golem, which is I, I guess you would consider it
This is
a folk tale.
another, yeah, classic folktale monster, very tied heavily with Jewish culture.
Mhm. Do you know any particular, you know, the detail behind it? The
A little bit. I do
okay.
know a little bit about. I don't. I can't go into full detail. That's something that would have to do like a monster compendium or something another day. Which, if people want, I would happily dive into that as a series on my own channel. Just because I love talking monsters.
Yeah.
The golem is standardly, it's a protective entity
Mhm.
that, and we see they go through it really well in this episode,
Yes.
that it has no directive on its own. There's something in the magic with the Judaic text
Okay.
that does bring it to life, and gives it that mission of a protector.
That's it. What you just mentioned is pretty much what I know about this particular character. And I did see a movie that was done in the 1920s
Yeah,
of
it's
this
been used a
character,
few
which is
times.
really cute. Yeah. It's a very sweet story about the monster and what the legend of what it can do, and that it's been able to protect people. Usually people who've been taken advantage of by like goons and you know, people
Yeah,
who are will prey on the average citizens
and
of a town or a place.
and by all means, if somebody watching this has more information about it, drop it in the description or
Oh,
in the chat
yeah.
comment section. I love reading this stuff.
Oh yeah, me too. And also, yeah, when I love it when people put in the comments anything that they know about a subject that maybe wasn't discussed in the video, because
Mhm.
it just helps expand learning, and this in particular is just one of cool kind of character that I I haven't really gone deep into doing a lot of research about, but I did see that one movie that was really quite cool. And then this episode. So on the previously on, let's see if I can get this going. On the previously on, we get this really short moment with Renard and Goliath making friends a while back, and I thought that was just like, oh, interesting. I guess Renard's going to be in this episode. It starts off with a moment that looks like it's right out of James Bond, with this guy in a car being chased by police, and then he jumps over a bridge and lands on a boat to get away. Well, that boat whizzes by, and it seems our travelers are on a smaller boat, like that's just like kind of gets pushed to the side, and Goliath notices, hey, that's Renard, and Renard is like, that's Goliath. Kind of looks a little worried. He's like, oh
He
man,
wasn't happy to see Goliath.
no. And it's like, oh boy, this could ruin everything. Our travelers go towards the side of this tower and decides, okay, we're gonna camp out here for a little bit, and Goliath says, I'm gonna go follow that boat to find out if anything's going on with Renard, and maybe he can help us get home. It's like, hey, that's actually not a bad plan to see if you can actually like get a plane home, because obviously the water is not going to. Yeah, that the boat is not working. And so Angela and Bronx go to the tower for safety, as Elisa decides to walk around to find out where they are. She bumps into a guy, his name is Max. He tells her that they're in Prague, but then he goes into a house, and she just continues on. When Max goes into this place, he's met with an elder rabbi, and so he's being told that he needs to awaken the golem and take his place. It seems as if he has had a dream in which told him like the secret words to say to the golem. So this is another one of those stories where it's about heritage and sort of the mystical. And I really love that. I love that special word from a dream is affecting the story.
Ah, here we go. I got a little bit on a golem. Golem is a creature formed out of a lifeless substance such as dust or earth that is brought to life by ritual incantations and sequences of Hebrew letters. The golem brought into being by a human creator becomes a helper, a companion, or a rescuer of an imperiled Jewish community.
Sweet. And so we get to this part of the story where the man who escaped, his name is Broad. He is being given a job to do by Renard. And it's kind of laced in a little bit of secrecy, but he gets a vehicle as a payment. And when Goliath approaches Renard and he says, hey, great to see you, friend. I'd like to, ask for a favor. Renard is like, no, forget it. He dismisses him, and he just like
go
the
away.
enemy. Yeah, go away. Like, and I think at that point, maybe he was thinking to himself, I have my own problems. I can't help you.
Yeah.
When that happened, I was like, what's going on? That's not the way he was before. He's the one who was talking about self-responsibility and
integrity.
Yeah. Now he just seems to be so different, and he won't even help Goliath, because even if he said, hey, why don't we just arrange for Goliath and his friends to take a private jet back to New York, that would have gotten him out of his hair, and he could have been free to do whatever it was that he wanted.
Would have made more sense.
It would have made more sense,
let me get you on a plane now.
Yeah, and get out of my hair so I can go do this.
Go wait on my ship now.
Yeah. And you know what? And as a friend, when you see another person, a friend of yours that seems to be going down the wrong path, it doesn't push you away totally, right? It makes you want to know more about
when they're acting out of character. Yeah, you're most of the time. I'm sure there's other people who might, but most of the time you're like, okay, this isn't you. What's going on?
Tell me what's happening. Maybe I could help you. And that's sort of the reason why I think Goliath, Spidey senses are tingling a little bit. So he's like, this isn't right. So they go back to this, and they go into deeper discussion about his dream and what he is supposed to do, because he is supposed to summon Gollum to stop Broad from attacking his village and bullying people in his town. And
he's doing like this mafia type thing, you know.
Yeah, they didn't get into a lot of detail, and maybe that's probably the one fault of this episode, is that it would have been a great thing to show us some examples of what Broad was doing and how he was treating the citizens, exactly how badly it was for them. But we get more of that like during the end when we see, you know, everybody face off about each other. But they go back in time. They go back to 1580 when Prague was on fire 400 years earlier. And they show you how the golem was summoned and exactly how he goes about helping the people. And I thought that was a nice little brief explanation of exactly what you just found about the golem and what they do. So they do kind of show it to you just a little bit. Now, while Mac was just about to summon Golem, Broad shows up and actually steals the Golem as it's in its stationary form. And it's actually quite shocking. I was like, oh, you know, and a little bit confusing because I was trying to figure out what was going on at that point. They weren't really explaining what was happening. We do find out eventually. Renard is actually the one really that's behind all of this. This visual that you're seeing is not from this episode, is actually from another episode, but that was the only thing I could represent the moment, really. Yeah. And Renard is behind all of this, and he found a spell that would transform his soul into the body of the golem. I get the reasons why, because what has happened, it seems as if Renard's body has gone under more.
He's not exactly a spring chicken, you know.
Yeah. He's in a lot of pain, and he's also can't really move around. So he's looking for a body. I mean, all I have to say is, look, you got to go to Xanatos for these things, okay? He's got working prototypes.
Last person he wants to go to is his son-in-law.
I know.
And I think it's also the fact that he's borderlining on looking like the Crypt Keeper.
Yeah.
You know, he's facing his mortality.
Yeah.
And that scares a lot of people.
You're absolutely right. I mean, he wants to still be in the game. He's lost a lot of his mobility, his ability to feel. His physical body is just failing him. And so this is his opportunity to do this. When I picked the golem, no, it's physically not a body you would probably want to pick, but this is what he feels is his only choice, and he found this spell and he wants to use it. So he does perform the spell and does transfer his soul into the golem's body, but as soon as he gets in that body, he starts destroying things. And I'm like, what? This is what you want your body for? To turn over a few cars, to step over gravestones? Like, please, what is wrong with you? I think the whole process of losing his physical body was also messing with his mental ability and his humanity. It must have been, because it seems as if he, you know, as soon as he was able to feel again, he was doing all of the things that you probably would say the last thing you need to in order to feel good about yourself is to turn over a car. He goes way over the line. And his thing is that he decides that he's going to go back to the place in which the golem came from, so he can destroy the library just in case there were any spells to reverse it, and to reverse what he has done. And so he just goes in there thrashing the place up, and Goliath is trying to stop him. Unfortunately, Goliath and Angela are not strong enough to. This golem is really a serious threat.
Mhm.
He can really do a lot of damage, and I thought that was something interesting that they had brought. Uh, you know, gargoyles are very strong. They can do a lot, but when it comes to certain creatures, they're they're just not going to make a dent. Luckily, they convince after a good thrashing, a good thrashing, they convince Renard to renounce his body if he is going to be losing his morality. They switch places. Renard is put back into his own body, and the golem is actually summoned so he could do the good that he was supposed to do by actually taking down Broad's little operations that he has going on. And it is one of those moments where you're like, okay, thank goodness
Yeah.
that things have been restored. What was your assessment of the way Renard was sort of behaving?
He was definitely acting way outside of the character that we saw previously, because previously he was all about, like I said, the integrity, about
Yeah,
doing the right thing, even
yeah,
if it's, uncomfortable, whatever. But in this case, he's done like almost a 180, and we're not entirely certain why, but I'm glad he comes to his senses through
yeah,
eventually,
yeah,
because that
yeah,
was part of the charm of his character, that he was very stuck in his, or very adamant about doing the right thing.
yeah, yeah. I agree 100%. He just was, and look, physical pain can mess with you like that too.
You can,
Like it.
especially chronic day to day, like you're living with it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and I've had my moments of that
Yeah,
experience, and it can put you in a state of forgetting about your humanity.
yeah,
Um,
it's just one of those. I don't care. Make it stop. Yeah.
yeah. So he was willing to do that, and I'm not sure if there will be an answer for him to find a different body, but I definitely had a lot more sympathy for him by the end. He
Mhm.
seems fine. He actually asks Goliath if he wants to go home by, by plane, so he
Yeah, I'm
can just
going back to Manhattan. You
go
want to hitch a
ahead.
ride?
Yeah, and it seems as if Goliath has learned something during this adventure, which is
They're
him
doing this
being,
for a reason.
yeah, yeah, they're being taken to these places to learn something and to not just expand their horizon. He calls it destiny, and I thought, well, that's really that's really interesting. Even though we know that, and I'm concerned for the guys at home that they're okay and that they are waiting for him, that they aren't like losing their minds trying to figure out whether he's alive or not, or they're alive.
Mhm.
But I think, this could be a week. We're not sure how much time this has passed here. We're not sure if it's a couple of days
I'm
or a week.
assuming at this point, yeah, it's about a week, because we've seen them do the overnight a couple times.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
fact, usually one per episode. I don't remember if we did it in this one.
That is a good point. It could be because there have been a couple of these episodes where they've had a day go by. They show you night and then they show you day. I'm guessing this all happened in a day's time or 2 days
Yeah,
maybe.
this one, this particular episode, I think each one of them's been about like a day and a half, 2 days, roughly.
That sounds reasonable. That
Because
sounds
we do see them doing, turning to stone in most of the episodes of these 4 episodes. Like I said, I don't recall it for this particular one,
yeah. Yeah, this one
but
they did not, but yeah,
yeah.
they did in the last couple of ones. you have to think about it too, like, while they're on the boat, while it's daytime, they turn into stone, and Elisa's there, like, right.
How much would that suck? Because
Oh, man.
that's not a stable boat.
No, and then you've got these stone creatures, you have to make sure it's okay, and who knows if a creature is gonna come up and rock the
Like,
boat, I'm
I'm
sure.
hoping if they're because at least the trips on the boat itself are short because it magically takes you from one shore to another
Yeah,
without a huge trip. Or else, yeah, that would be really awkward to be in, like, the middle of the Atlantic and, daytime, so you've got, like, 3 really heavy gargoyles.
yeah,
And
and they
something knocks
fall.
the boat
Yeah, and so
all the way
they
down.
go yeah, they go all the way down. Now when they break open and they may, like, float to the top or swim to the top, but
It depends on
still you gotta fight.
how far down they go, I mean,
Yeah, yeah, how far
if
is
they
it?
break open during like, does the sunlight really affect them if they're below the sunlight level of the water?
Ooh. No, I think it still will because
I don't know.
even in caves, even when they're in caves, they turn into stone.
I don't know.
Um, but yeah, it's fascinating. It's interesting. These guys who are writing this, and they're coming up with some wild stuff. And the last thing that happens in this is that Goliath says no, but they turn to Elisa and ask her, "Hey, well, you don't have to go
Well, you
through
could.
this."
You do have a job.
Yeah, you don't have to go through this. You could just get on that plane and go home. And she's like, I wouldn't, well,
I
I
got
I
some
felt
questions
that
then.
she really meant to say I wouldn't miss this for the world, but she said, "What do you guys do without me?" And so I don't think she would have gone at
Oh,
all.
she wouldn't abandon her boo.
Yeah, she really there's something going on between her and Goliath, and I don't think she would be able to handle it if the worry, um,
Mhm.
if something
And
happened.
to be fair, she's not wrong. In a lot of these times, they do need a human
Yes,
to talk to other humans,
yeah,
you know?
to be an in between, while they hide, and to
Yeah,
look after
find out
them
where the heck we are.
yeah, and to look after them when they turn to stone. So I think she has been really a big help to them, and they're really lucky to have her. But at the same time, yeah, she doesn't need to be there. She could go home. I couldn't understand, you know,
Yeah.
why she would say yes. She's in love too. She's in
Yeah, Elisa
love.
leaving Goliath is just as likely as me leaving certain live streams. Just
We know which ones they are. At least one of them, I know. Two of them,
yep.
yeah. And
There's a couple that, yeah, I chase around for the eye candy.
and yeah, that's it for this week, guys. That was really a fun quartet of episodes. I enjoyed them very much. I especially loved let me see what was it called again? The one with the totem pole, Heritage. That was
Heritage.
really wild. Oh god, that was wild. That was wild. I couldn't help but, like, being freaked out every 5 minutes from that one 'cause
Yeah.
when I saw the Thunderbird with the face on the stomach, I was like, "Wow, somebody has been
I
seeing my
do wonder
nightmares."
where they came the inspiration for the face on the stomach. I don't recall that, but
Yeah.
maybe that's a particular tribal photo. I don't know. But for those
Oh.
who actually do want to, or photo, picture, art piece. You'd think as an artist I would use the right terms. For those that do want to see the artwork that I mentioned, though, it's Emily Carr, Carr.
Okay.
She did a lot of the BC totem poles, and they are all over the place out there.
Oh, wow.
And they are beautiful, rich cultural, rich cultures and fascinating to look at. They're huge.
So cool.
Absolutely huge. We have some here at the, Royal Ontario Museum.
Oh, I wanna see some in person. Oh, that'd be awesome.
Oh, if you
Yeah.
ever make it up this way, I'll take you to the museum, you'll love it there.
Oh, cool. I love museums. Oh my god. That's
You
another
we're
love
2
of
we're
mine. I
2
love
birds in the same pod, so I knew automatically you'd love it there.
Oh, come on. Yeah, I love museums.
No, right?
I love it. I love them. I was probably the weirdest kid. I would always hang out at the Metropolitan Museum all the time. And
That's the reason I have to go back to New York one day. I went there in high school,
mhm,
and part of the trip was supposed to be going to the Museum of Modern Arts. I never
mhm.
got there.
No, you'll
Mm.
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll love it. It's really gorgeous and a wonderful experience. They used to have events there too that I used to love going to. But,
Mm.
yeah, I love museums and, to all the people who, run museums or put museums together, and those of you who are creating museums, thank you very much. You're doing very good work. It's the one place where I would say humans are putting together the display of humanity, if you will,
Yeah.
and sharing different cultures, different ideas, and we can really find a common love within each and every one of us. So yeah, I do love so much. We have some homework for next week, guys. For week 11, it is going to be season 2, episode 28, Sanctuary, episode 29, MIA, episode 30, Grief, and episode 31, Kingdom. I this could be a lot of fun. None of these names says home. So
Yeah. Like I said, it is going to be a trip. It's gonna be quite a journey. We are because really, I do remember thinking like, "Oh my god, they're still at it."
oh boy. So yeah, that's what we're in for more adventures on the high seas with our Manhattan clan, which I love. So I've been loving so far. So guys, we'll see you next week. Mama Bear and I will be back. Take care, guys. Bye.
Later.
Awesome, guys. I'm so sorry I had the mute button on. I I love this series so much. This is just this just like going over this part that we just watched. It just reminds me how great it is. So thank you for everybody for coming. I'm just gonna let you guys know that a couple of things are happening on the channel. Um, let's see on um, let's see what else is happening on the channel. I thought I would remember it by heart, but I guess not. What's happening next? We have on this Friday, tomorrow, I may have something that I'm posting, a new review that I'll be posting publicly for you guys. The That's actually part of the members ch- um, reviews that I have there. So I'm gonna make one of them public. On Saturday, we're gonna actually do the watch party for The Great Gatsby. And it was postponed last week, but we're actually doing it this week. This is The Great Gatsby, 1974. It's actually quite a long movie, but it's really good. I mean, I really love it. Um, on Sunday, I have a special live stream that I hope you guys will be able to join me. It's part of sort of an academic kind of talks that I want to do concerning film. It just so happens that a good friend of mine, Douglas A. Burton, is having has just premiered his brand new book, and it's called The Heroine's Labyrinth. It's a take on or something to work alongside of the hero's journey. But it's following the feminine characters. And that doesn't always have to be feminine characters, but it is sort of in line with that. It is quite interesting, and I do want you guys to know about it because I'm going to talk about the Heroine's Labyrinth from now on when I do my reviews, and it'd be great if you guys knew about it. And we had a very, very long discussion, and I want to share that with you. So if you are into story and storytelling, this is going to be really fascinating, and I hope that you can join me for that. This is going to be Sunday. It'll start during around the daytime and continue on until the night. Not too late in the night though. So there's that, and yeah, I hope that you guys have a wonderful enjoy the rest of your evening. Let me just go through some of the some of the people in the chat. Zod Writer, so great to see you, Zod Writer, that you slid in here and was able to catch this really awesome talk that we had. It really means a lot that you were able to stop by and hang out with us. I saw one your latest interview was really, really good. I watched it last night and it was really fantastic. And Stunt Brat, so great to see you. And yes, I am you know I was gonna let you know that I am going to eventually make that gingerbread house, but it'll be in a little while because I have to organize some things around my home. So so that way I can do it. But I still have all of the candies and everything. So I it is on my mind. So thank you. And yes, so I will just let you guys know. Uh she says retro slumber party fun out. It should be a good time. And yes, thank you so much, Amy Joe, for stopping by and hanging out with us and having so much fun in the comments. Mama Bear, couldn't do this one without you. And this show is just fantastic. I'm just loving it. It's so funny because all the funny parts where I'm laughing in the recording, I just end up laughing and just watching it. So it's like um, really, really a great time. Really great. And Moonbeam, I special thank you to Moonbeam for for all of the contributions that you've been making in the chat. Really appreciate them. Unicorn Rampant Studio, yes, your comments are just amazing. Again, also a lot of incredible insight and historical as well. And I'm now very curious about the rainbow. Rainbow zebras. They have to be a lot of fun. And who else? Lance Chafin, thanks for hanging out with us. And let's see who else. I had a few more people that kind of slid in during the chat. Skywalker the Jedi, Thomas, Jack was here. Who else? Gary has been commenting and keeping us company tonight. And let's see, anyone else? Anyone else? If I forget anyone, just forgive me. But yes, thank you everyone for being here tonight. Really appreciate you. And so I'm going to sign out. And there's like a nice 3-minute video. If you want to leave any lasting comments, please do let me know. We'll be back again next week for more of this Gargoyles for week 11. And I hope you get to do the homework. Take care, guys. Bye.
Retro Nerd Girl, you are clear for takeoff.